my sister, I want a mission. Don't put me in some bullshit. I worked out 5 times a day. I prayed immensely. I studied the enemy. I studied the history.
Like, are you thinking I could die? Army infantry captain veteran, 2-time Bronze Star for Valor recipient, Purple Heart recipient. And today he builds the hospitals that care for our veterans and backs the next generation of veteran entrepreneurs. Founder and chairman of Blue Cord Design and Construction, Michael Waldrop.
If I walk on a job site, the first question I ask, what is the name of the man or woman that cleans your porta-potty? But that man counts on me, man. Chris, that man puts food on his table. We're not waking up every single day if we're not seeking love and happiness and joy and laughter. What the f are we doing? He said, Waldrop, you don't have to. I said, no, I have to. I said, Colonel, my men need me. I'm sorry. These people count on me, man. They count on Michael Waldrop. I call right now, they would go to the gates of hell for me. You know what I do for them? I kick those damn gates in.
What was it like growing up in a family that was really built around serving our country?
You know, I was adopted, thankfully, and have beautiful parents. And my hero growing up was my grandfather, who stormed the beaches of Iwo Jima as a Marine. He was shot in the leg, the exact same location I was wounded.
No way.
Carried shrapnel in his leg, almost the exact same location I did till the day he died. Was a Marine till the day he died. And, you know, my father was Navy. My brother, who passed, was Air Force. And I always grew up just with that mindset of wanting to serve the country. Puberty hit, and I got accepted to Clemson University, and I decided to enroll there. I made a 4.0 my first semester, and I thought I had the whole world figured out. I knew booze and broads and books, and then I joined a fraternity. I made a 1.1 my second semester, and I figured now's the time. So I enlisted as a private in the United States Army.
Well, thank you so much for your service, man, and your grandfather and your father and your brother, your whole family. My brother, you said Marine, served 2 tours in Iraq.
He's not that bright either, is he?
I am so grateful for you, Kevin. I love you, brother.
I do too, Kevin. I don't even know you, but
Yeah,
I do too.
buddy. Hey,
Dumbass Marine.
Yeah. Tough SOBs, man, to get it done and fight for our freedoms, and that's so cool. You said something that jumped out at me. You were adopted. I didn't know that. My son is adopted as well. And so, like, what was that like for you, man?
Well, you know, it was, you know, these days you don't get away with any of that with DNA and such, but that was difficult because I think my parents, you know, they sheltered us from that event. There was 5 of us, and now there's 3, but 3 of us were adopted, and I didn't learn until a later year as a child, still in elementary school. But that was a weird time mentally and spiritually for me. I broke into the basement of the Roper Hospital in Charleston one time trying to find my records as a teenager, and you know, I had hired an attorney at one point. I'd get in these moods every couple years and go on the hunt. I called multiple women. I went and got yearbooks because I got a 1-page non-identifying information about each. And so I took that information and I called the wrong one several times. I was like, I'm so sorry. But then I think I was listening to Fox News or something, and you know, the swab commercial was on, and 3 hours later they had found my mother. And you know, I had always kind of studied what that introduction should look like psychologically and everything else. So I called her, and I got her voicemail, and I just genuinely and sincerely told her, I said, listen, you know, my name's Michael, but and it's not a sales call or anything like that, but you know, I do have some information that I wanted to share with you that I just found out about. And she called me a little while later, and she said, Michael, I'm sorry. I know who my son is. You must have the wrong person. I'm like, I am so sorry. I've done this before. I'm sorry to alarm you. I'm sorry to alert you. She goes, "That's okay." I hung up the phone. I started walking to my backyard, let my dog out, and she lied to me.
Mm.
And so then I went back and I had her email and I wrote her a genuine email and I just said, "Listen, I understand, but I know that you're my mother, and I just wanted you to know that I've been blessed, and I'm thankful for you for bringing me into this world. I've got two amazing children, and I wasn't in this for any sort of relationship. It was just trying to settle something for myself that was around all my life and in my mind and in my soul all my life. And I respect you, and just wanted to let you know." And so she wrote me back, and that's the last time I heard from her. And she told me that, she was 16, 17 at the time, Catholic girl, Southern Georgia, or in an all-girls school. And, she probably had a scarlet letter on her. They pull her out of school. The whole community knows about it. She's shamed probably because of it. She's forced to have the child. And she told me in that correspondence, she said, "Michael, this was a traumatic event in my life, and fortunately or unfortunately, I'm a subject matter expert in post-traumatic stress." But she said that there was many. I never had children ever since, Michael. I just got married, and I remember there were times that I heard my parents speaking on the phone and talking on the phone on the other side of the wall, and sometimes I thought it was you that they were talking to. And it was just a rough time for me. And so I wanted you to know where I was coming from. And I wrote her back I said, I all I wanted to say is thank you. And I respect that. And I want you to know that I'm thankful. Wow. And I've got an amazing family. And a big part of that is because you brought me into this life. I hadn't heard from her since. And then the DNA company called me back the next day and said, "How'd it go?" So I shared with them. And they said, "Well, are you interested in finding who your father is?" Well, in his non-identifying information, he was an Air Force veteran. I think he was quarterback for Georgia or something like that. He was a football player, college football player. And he was older. I think she was 16, 17. He was, I think, early 20s. And it stated at the bottom that he had no interest in raising a child. And I just had this perception of him in my mind that I really didn't have much interest. But I said, "Well, what the hell? Let's find out who he is." And I found out the next day, and the day previous was the day he died. And he had passed the day that I found out. And I spoke to his brother in North Carolina. It was a sweet old man. Told me a little bit about his life. Told me I had a stepsister as well. I pinged her a couple times, but I waited several months because she just lost her father.
Yeah.
And so interesting series of events there. Yeah. But some closure still.
Yeah. Well, there's so much there, brother. I want to go back. You said your mom, you knew, birth mom, she was lying. Was it something inside of you that knew when you walked away? Because
I knew almost the moment I hung the phone up. I felt it.
Okay.
I felt it. I just knew that this was my mother. I knew before I called her that this was my mother. There was no question about it in my mind. I was anxious of how her reaction and response was going to be. I did not think it would be that. And when I hung up the phone, I just wanted some closure for her too, to let her know, hey, I don't understand, but I respect and I'm thankful. And
Yeah.
I just want you to know that.
That's so cool. And I think it's so important. And that really digs into kind of your entire mindset, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there is people out there that remain more of a victim in that position than actually being grateful.
A survivor.
Yeah. And it's like, man, to hear you make that, it's all about how you frame it, right? And so you framed it in a healthy way to show that, hey, I'm so grateful that you were brave enough to give birth to me. I mean, my life would not exist if you didn't have the courage as a
could have
birth
been aborted.
mom. Yeah. And what happens, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't imagine this world without you, bro.
A lot of people can.
Yeah. That's all of us. Half the world hates us no matter what we do. Right? And so, going into military, you go to Clemson,
Mhm.
you're at Clemson, you make the transition. What does that look like specifically? Like, how do you, for those who have never been in the military, are you like actively enrolling? Are you calling
I made a
somebody?
deal with
Like,
the reserves, and I got into the guard, so I was able to go back to Clemson and serve part time until I got out of college. And during my junior year, I was president of our fraternity, and yeah, very involved with the university. And I went through officer candidate school. So as a private first class, I got accepted to officer candidate school, which lasted about a year, and I became a lieutenant going into my senior year. And after my senior year, that's when I went to all the active duty training. And that's kind of where my career got started.
what is candidate school for people who have
Officer
never been?
candidate school is where a enlisted soldier or a non-commissioned officer has an opportunity to go to that school and earn a commission as an officer and be trained and accepted and selected as an officer, which you're a private all over again as a lieutenant. But it's also some of the funnest times of your career to being that lieutenant. You really learn to look up to your mentors and your NCOs, your non-commissioned officers, and rely upon them and put your life into their hands and really develop those leadership type skills and personal relationship type skills too.
Yeah. There's moments in life that you don't forget. One of mine was sitting around a table with the Ring Power Cat executive team before we had published a single episode of the Contractors Playbook Built to Win show. There was no audience, no views, no proof, just me and a vision. A vision to elevate contractors, restore pride in the trades, and develop the next generation of builders. Matt Sessions was the first to believe. Mad respect, bro. Thank you for making the introduction that you did. When I sat down with David, Chris, Sue, and the entire Ring Power team, they didn't hand us a sponsorship just because they liked the idea. They asked thoughtful questions. They wanted to understand our mission. They wanted to know whether we were building something that could genuinely create value for contractors, not just another piece of content. That's what high-performing organizations do. They don't make decisions based on excitement. They make them based on conviction. Ring Power Cat has spent decades building trust with contractors, and they were willing to invest in a future they believe was possible. I've learned in life that the people you choose to partner with often determine your ceiling. So don't just look for vendors that can help you win today. Build with the people who are investing in where your industry is going. That's exactly what I saw sitting around that table. To Matt, Chris, David, Sue, the entire Ring Power Cat family, thank you for investing in the ones who build the world, because contractors deserve partners who believe in them. Thank you, Ring Power Cat. Built to win.
I was in Clinton's army, a lot of base realignment and closures. As a young lieutenant, I was the one lieutenant that was slotted for a lot of different schools I wanted. I wanted to go active duty. Well, we just got done kicking Iraq's ass in a matter of hours, and it was no funds. It still got to do with money too. So the battalion, I would get I'd be close to getting my orders to the schools I wanted, and then the funds weren't there. I'd have to wait another year.
What's the value of the funds?
Well, the battalion has to pay for soldiers to go to these schools, and it was just a downsizing of the military.
Okay.
And I had several fraternity brothers end up in Orlando, which is how I ended up here. And they're dropping kids, getting married, making $100,000. And here I am beating the bushes in Fort Benning, Georgia, and there's 100,000 dudes that look like this, and maybe 12 candidates out there to go get a relationship. So I knew I didn't want to be a career soldier. I wanted to learn how to lead men, and if I ever had a chance to do so in combat, that would be a blessing. And what we trained for, and that opportunity didn't look like it would ever exist. I visited Orlando on New Year's Eve, and I think in '99, and I was like, "Dude, this is heaven!" And I drove my Honda Civic back up to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I met with my battalion commander, and I resigned my commission. And he didn't want to lose me, and he wanted me to stay. but he kind of understood my situation, and he said, "Well, why don't you? I mean, we'd love to have you back if you ever change your mind. Why don't you put your name on this inactive ready reserve list called the IRR?"
And how old are you at this point?
Oh, 21.
Okay, so you're 20. And real
22,
quick,
yeah.
what was heaven about Orlando?
Oh man, women and freedom. It wasn't Fort Benning anymore,
Yeah.
and I love Fort Benning. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it looked like a land of opportunity, and I had friends down here, and they
Okay.
ended up here either chasing jobs or chasing women or whatever the case may be, and so I packed up everything. And my battalion commander, I'll never forget. He told us, it's not like we're ever going to go to war again, and but if the country ever needs you, or if you decide to come back, this would be your avenue to more easily do so in the future. So I put my name on this list.
And what is that like? Because that has to be deep that you're on the list, but you're not thinking you're going to, but like, I might. What is the
so
way
fast
to
forward to 2006. So I packed up everything I owned in my Honda Civic, and everything I owned fit in my Honda Civic. And I lived on my buddy's futon for 6 months, and everything I owned went on the futon during the day, and I slept on it at night. And I began my career in the private sector in Orlando at that time as a young man, and bounced around some different jobs, and ended up in the construction business with a family business, my ex-wife's family business. And I started out in the field as an assistant to the assistant superintendent, and was very much a grunt. And that's really where I began to learn construction. And then I had an opportunity, because of a family business, to learn the different departments of the business and of the industry. And in 2006, 2007, I had worked my way up to being vice president of operations at the time. And so I was busting my ass to be the best I could be. And my assistant walks in the door with not an email, not a fax, but a Western Union mailgram. And it said that the commander-in-chief has called you back to active duty. Report in 30 days for this operation in southern Afghanistan for 18 months.
Wait, you open, and that's the introduction.
That was the mailgram. The Western Union mailgram said, "Welcome back." It was orders to report back in 30 days. I didn't even own a pair of boots.
What did that feel like?
Holy shit. To be quite honest with you, I bought a handle of Jack Daniels, and I made arrangements with my mother-in-law to watch our kids that night. And I was going to take my wife out and share with her the news. And she was very anxious on why all of a sudden are we going to do a date night? Why all of a sudden are the kids going over to my parents? And I was going to be honest with her and said, "Well, this is what's happened." And it was a difficult time. I think that they would have chosen for me not to have accepted those orders, but I also knew that I just got called back by my country, and I'm not a draft dodger. I would roll in my grave. I would regret my entire life if I didn't accept this call. So for the next 30, I did get an extension to 60 or 90 days. And man, I just worked on trying to become an Olympic style athlete and train my mind, my body, my soul, my spirit into lead men in combat.
Dude, there is so much there. I'm so grateful for you answering that call too. Yeah,
a lot of people didn't. I never thought that the Army would run short of junior infantry officers. I always thought it would be like, transportation or, some specialized duty, but they did.
When you have that conversation, what is that like, man?
Well, I was very, here's the facts. And the hard part with that is a lot of questions. And I don't know the answers to those questions. And I can't answer those questions.
Yeah.
Well, what about this? Well, what is this going? I don't know. I just have to report. I bought a uniform and a duffel bag and some boots, and I showed up to Fort Benning, Georgia.
So I want to take back to what you had said.
Yeah.
When you signed that paper, how many years? What was the gap of years?
6 or 7 years.
Okay. So 6 years earlier, guy you respect tremendously. It's like, hey, we'll probably never do this, but you sign this piece of paper.
Yeah, I
that,
got out before
if you need to.
9/11. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you think back of the mindset that you had, obviously you didn't think they were going to run short, like you just said. You signed it. Like, was that something that you ever felt like, man, I regret signing it? Or was it like
No,
you
no.
knew in your mind? I knew much later you never regretted, but at the
Yeah.
mind when you're dealing with the demons,
Yeah,
right? You're dealing with
yeah.
a lot of carnage emotionally to go,
Mm.
holy cow, I've been grinding for 6 years. I finally got a job. I got a wife.
Yeah.
I got 2 kids. And then I
Complete
get this
diversion.
mail
Yeah.
that shows up.
Yeah.
And so that's different. But when you had that, were you thinking, oh, this is the time that I'm gonna, the opportunity I get to lead men?
Yes and no. I was hoping it would be that opportunity, but for all I knew, Chris, I could have been counting serial numbers in Fort Riley, Kansas for a year and a half. I had no
Yeah.
idea what my mission was going to be, and I just happened to, God blessed me with a very fulfilling mission
Mm.
with some amazing, most courageous, bravest men I've ever been around, with some amazing NCOs, and I ended up getting the chance to do what we trained for, and with what we went, you don't ever wish it on anybody, though.
What do you tell a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time?
It was, they didn't really understand. When I got home, and I got wounded 3 weeks into it, so it was a challenge in a way, because that 60, 90 days, my wife at the time wanted to kind of put it out there and ask for prayers and ask for support. And I kind of wanted to keep it under the rug a little bit. But, here, we're not in Fort Bragg, where the 82nd Airborne just got called up. We're in Orlando with very little military presence here. And so and we were a member of a large church and very involved. And, oh my gosh, the support that they gave us, my neighborhood gave us. Oh my gosh, our pastor, David Swanson, every children's service, every single Sunday, had my little girl for the children's ministry for that 5 minutes at the beginning of church on his lap. And that support that we had was just absolutely amazing. I want to find it one day, but 3 weeks later, I get wounded. And that's a whole story there. But
I have a couple friends that have been wounded in combat, and some are open, and I love your vulnerability, because I do think it can minister to so many of our viewers and the people in the world that have fought for our freedoms and have sacrificed much, and maybe they struggle to share their story. Back to what we're going to get into as well is, so you get the extension, and then you train like the
I'm
Dickens,
grinding, man.
Yeah.
I'm
and in your mind, are you like, what, coach us up? Like, what was your mind like? Were you like, bro, I don't know what's gonna happen? You still don't know what your mission.
I mean,
is yet.
you play big league ball. I mean, I trained at that level. I mean, I got a rucksack. I got brand new leather boots just to tear my feet to hell, to toughen up my feet. I worked out 5 times a day. I prayed immensely. I studied the enemy. I studied the history. I studied and I studied. That was my entire life.
So 2 things. I mean, I can't help. I want to get back to the study. In your mind, what's driving you, though? Like, are you thinking I could die? Or are you thinking I'm going to kill someone? Or are you thinking like survival? Like, what is your mindset that's driving all of this?
I have a responsibility.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking. I've got a tremendous responsibility, and I'm going to lead men into combat. I hope was my mentality at the time, and I have a tremendous responsibility. I took it extremely serious. I went and did land nav. I got me a map and a protractor. I did land nav in Ocala, and I just disappeared in the woods for 4 days trying to find different points. And I just, it was responsibility. I needed to be ready.
Man, I love that. Like, just the intentionality.
Yeah.
And even for the people that are listening, I know we're talking about military, which is, way more significant than our job, right? But still, when you're leading,
perspective.
It is so important to realize the weight of that responsibility to be a high performer, to earn the respect of the people that you're leading. And for you, what I heard you say is, hey, man, I got to go at it 100 in every aspect so that I can earn the respect of the people that I'm hoping I'm going to lead one day. You know, physically, mentally, spirit, all the things. Like, man, I feel that when I'm listening to you, and mad respect to the tenacity and the grit and the determination and the focus to go do that. So you got an extension, you know, to process that. How do you go about doing that, and how did that benefit you to get your mind and your body ready to go lead?
Gosh, I needed that. I mean, I would not have been ready in 30 days. I don't know if you're ever ready. But
good point.
My in-laws were childhood friends with Mel Martinez, and I don't know if he was Secretary of HUD at the time, or if he was U.S. Senator at the time. And Senator Martinez called me, and I think that he kind of got the feeling that the intentions were to do what he could to get me out of it. And I said, Senator, I am just so honored. I'm flattered you took time out of your day to call me. Thank you. But I don't worry about that. This my nation's called, our country's called me, and I'm going to go do it. And I'll talk to my family and make sure that they fully understand that this is something that I'm not looking to get out of or dodge. And I think that it needs to be very clear to them. But I don't want any help like that.
In construction, trust isn't optional. It's everything, especially when it comes to insurance and surety bonding. As a contractor, you already know, one bad partner can slow everything down or flat out cost you growth. That's why I'm careful who I recommend. Johnson & Company stands out because they built their entire business on integrity and long-term relationships. And as a third-generation independent insurance agency that only serves the construction community, they don't act like other brokers. They serve as a true trusted advisor who puts the customer first. They move quickly, tailor their insurance and surety programs to your exact needs, and have partnered with some of the most iconic construction companies for over 90 years. Their average customer relationship exceeds 25 years. I know the ownership group personally, and I can vouch for their character and credibility. And if you're looking for a partner who genuinely puts the customer first and builds relationships that last for decades, call Johnson & Company.
What is the last day you leaving the family feel like?
Man, it was almost Hollywood-esque. It was grabbed my duffel bag. I had my uniform on, went out to my Ford Expedition early in the morning, and got in my car in our neighborhood in College Park in Orlando. I had yellow ribbons going all the way down the road, and I think I intentionally woke up extremely early to just give some kisses, let people sleep, and let me go do my thing. And I think I kind of just snuck out of the house and quietly went to go about having to do my business, and I needed to focus.
Yeah,
I needed to
that's
focus.
tremendous weight. And so you leave, and where do you arrive?
I went to Fort Jackson to report. They had no idea what to do with me. The typical government military. They in-processed me. I think I did a PT test or something like that. I got 100 on it. And they said, well, we don't know where you're supposed to go from here. We heard that Civil Affairs is desperate for captains right now, and they're up at Fort Bragg, and here's a colonel's name that I know. So I got in my Ford. I drove up to Fort Bragg, and I went and met with that colonel. He said, yeah, we need you, but I forget the reason. I said, well, sir, I'm an infantryman. Winning hearts and minds. That's not my specialty. He said, well, I tell you what, I if I were you, I'd drive down to Fort Benning, and I go to Building 4, which is the infantry hall, and that's where all the brass of the infantry gather and have offices at. So I I got in my car
Oh,
and
my
I
goodness.
drove from Fort Bragg to Fort Benning, and I just showed up. And they weren't sure if I was going to go to Iraq, if I was going to go to Afghanistan. They weren't sure, so I had another buddy with me, and who was in the same boat. So we got two captains. They don't know what the hell to do with us, so we don't know what's going on. And I went and kicking doors in Building 4. I said, "Sir, I want a mission. Don't put me in some bullshit. Don't. I'm here. I'm here. You need me, but I need a meaningful mission." And he said, "Well, we have this special operations type mission working behind enemy lines." It was a young captain, and that's in Afghanistan. And we're about to get into the fight there. And the surge is going on in Iraq. And I thought I wanted to be in Iraq. And I said, "Well, what's going on in Afghanistan, sir?" He said, "Well, I can't tell you right now, but it's going to be an uptick there. And we've been stirring the hornet's nest, and what you would be doing is working behind enemy lines, and your rifle company would be Afghans. You work with a couple NCOs, a medic, a driver, an interpreter, and your rifle company is going to be the Afghan National Army, and you're going to lead them." And so we did a train up in Camp Shelby, the Middle East, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, the Middle East of America. Oh my God, mosquitoes are as big as helicopters. But we had a train up there, which was kind of bullshit. And then we went to Baton Rouge, got on a plane, and flew to Bangor, Maine, and then Germany, and then to Kyrgyzstan. And we get to Kyrgyzstan, and they don't know what the hell to do with us. I'm like, "Man, you guys need to get your heads out of your asses. I'm not staying here in Kyrgyzstan. The fight's down there. You need to get me down there." And 5 or 6 days later, we jump on our first flight into the combat zone. We fly into Kabul, and we take a short hop to Bagram. And then from Bagram up to Mazar-e-Sharif, and that's when the operation began.
Mhm.
That's where I met my men for the first time. And you don't speak their language, you don't know you don't know much about their religion, which is something I studied as well. I read the Quran. I just tried to understand it as best I could.
Yeah, I mean, I love the intentionality and the focus, trying to build connection and how am I going to serve, which is what you're elite at, right? So back up, they tell you you're going to lead that. What did that feel like to you? I mean, I can't imagine. I didn't do what you did, obviously. I can't imagine. I'm thinking I'm going to be serving with my people, right? My countrymen and women, right? And now I'm going to serve. So how did you process that? What did that feel like?
Still so many unknowns. And the next concern went to, we were replacing a unit that had been there for a year.
Okay.
And the moment we got on the ground, they were saying that this mission was going to happen. And the mission was to take the Afghan soldiers from the north and take the largest military movement that the Afghan army's ever had and drive them all the way down across the ring road, all the way south and into Kandahar and into the fight. And so obviously I'm trying to learn as much as I can of those guys that had been here for a year, and they were laughing at me. I said, "Man, they've been talking about this operation for a year now. We've not done a damn thing but sit here for a year." I'm like, "Oh God, maybe I should go home. I can't just sit here." But they picked me and my guys in our battalion. So we took 600 soldiers and we drove all the way down south and up over the Hindu Kush mountain range. And this was July 3rd, 4th, 5th. And we got to Kandahar, and they didn't know what the hell to do with us in Kandahar. I just showed up with 200 freaking Afghans, and they're like, "Who are you?"
How are you even building connection with these cats? Like, can you speak multiple languages at this
No,
point?
no. I mean, I knew Porter Gump Show, get the fuck out of here. But you learn some simple terms. No, but you live with them, you sleep with them, you eat with them, you fight with them. So you just kind of ingrain yourself.
And what is their feeling towards you?
Oh, they were checking us out. Yeah, they were checking us out, and I was checking them out.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we didn't have any blue on blue situations, but that was always a risk too. You didn't know who to trust, but all you can do is trust.
What does that feel like?
It's hard because everyone's there for different reasons. They could be making $5,000 a month harvesting poppy.
Yeah.
The economy of the enemy, but they chose to make $50 a week serving their country. And some amazing stories there. And like anything else, I found out of our men, I found the 20 or 30 dudes, and any of the operations, I was gonna make sure I had those dudes with me. And you find out real quick who the real dudes are. Some of them had amazing stories. Lost many of them too. But we show up in Kandahar, and then the next day is the first gunfight I've ever been in.
Okay, so you land,
Yeah.
and you're the guys that you're trying to study. You're trying to understand what am I about to walk into. You're trying to get debriefs.
I meet them 3 days later. We're in our first gunfight.
Wow. They were like, you ain't doing nothing for a year, and you were like, man, I don't want to be here a whole year. And 3 days later,
Yeah, and then they said, no, we're spinning up this operation. You guys are gonna be the guys.
For people who haven't been in that, you get in there. What is that like, life? And I mean, you always kind of think life and death is a possibility. I mean, it's not like your ability, but it's a whole nother thing when you're in an actual gunfight. You know, and like you said something earlier, I don't know if you're ever ready.
No, and you don't wish it on anybody. I mean, it was the beginning of an amazing year, really. I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly. We witnessed everything that war can throw at you, and you walk through the valley of the shadow of death more times than you wish on anybody. And that first operation, I learned more after the operation than the intelligence that we got previously. Matter of fact, I saw a 60 Minutes clip when I got home, and an ODA Special Forces team. And some Afghans went into this area, and they got shot up pretty bad. And Pajmal, and this was the Panjwai and Pajmal. This was the birthplace, home of Muhammad Omar, the founder of the Taliban, the leader of the Taliban. And we didn't know that at the time. And what I did know is that the Canadians, so now they're saying we're going to fight with Canadians. If you would have told me months ago you're going to be fighting in a gunfight with Canadians, I'd be like, oh, what the hell's going on? But those dudes were sharp. Those dudes were good. Every time the Canadians, and this was their sector, every time the Canadians went anywhere near that area, they got shot up to hell. And
why was that?
It was this was such a concentration of the enemy.
Okay.
And this was their home turf. This is their home turf.
But I meant from the Canadians, though. It seemed like only when you were insinuating.
Oh, it's just, they don't have a long history like other countries, and we do of being battle hardened. I didn't know what to think. You're going to be fighting, I'm going to have Canadians over here. I'm going to have Afghans over here. And I got 3 Americans. What the hell is this going to look like? But they were good. A lot of books been written about these battles. And so I was given the mission, you're going to go into Pajmal, you're going to take it, and you're going to hold it. No one's ever taken it.
And
no one's ever held it.
Yeah, what was the significance of taking it and holding that from?
Showing the enemy is that, hey,
we're bad.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're here. Your home turf does not exist anymore. Find the enemy and eliminate them. And man, so we spun up, left, 2 or 3 under night vision, and we got there, and we're going through these villages and stuff. And I swear, it felt like Mogadishu. It felt like you're seeing AK-47s, people. You're seeing once we started getting contact or intelligence that all we could see was women and children leaving. And leaving the area, then we knew the fight's about to get on. And they initiated fire on us and an ambush on us. And so for the next 4 days, we didn't sleep. We fought and fought and fought and fought. As a matter of fact, tomorrow marks the 20th anniversary. I was just looking at my calendar yesterday, marks the 20th anniversary. Today was the day that July 8th, 2006, where in that first gunfight, I was put in for my first Bronze Star for Valor, and then tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of when I was wounded. So on the third day, I took shrapnel along with a couple others, and then we had our first KIA, a Canadian soldier, and long stories there. I had to get medevaced out along with the KIA Corporal Bonica. Both my NCOs were also recipients of Bronze Stars for Valor in that gunfight too. One of them single-handedly took out the enemy position where I was wounded, where I was trying to kick the doors in. And the other NCO, and these are brothers, and they're not sergeant, they're Clay and Jeff, and I'm Mike. That's just the way I led our team. And Jeff, under fire, carried me off the battlefield and into the medevac area, got into a Black Hawk. Black Hawks, hey, I had a Navy corpsman jump on top of me, and the Black Hawks started to take fire, right? So this pilot's just doing these evasive maneuvers with this helicopter, and I'm strapped in, and this Navy corpsman is hot as hell outside. He straddles me, he puts this needle up, and I'm like, what the fuck are you going to do with that? He's not going to give you an IV, sir. I said, the fuck you are. He goes, that's pretty cool, man. And then the morphine drip started. So, I was good to go. But yeah. And then I ended up calling home, but I told him if I call home, give me a chance to call my father-in-law first. So I called him and woke him up. It was like probably 4 a.m. back here. And I had just left 3 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. Spent some time in Kyrgyzstan. And I just told him, I said, listen, I've been wounded. I'm okay. I said, I was hit in the thigh. He thought I said side. So he didn't, and he wasn't asking me any questions. I said, I'm about to call your daughter and let her know. And I just wanted you to know ahead of time so y'all could be there for her. I'm about to get wheeled into surgery. I'll call you as soon as I can. And then I called her early in the morning. And of course, the kids are sleeping in her bed. She goes, here, talk to your daughter. Hey, Daddy. I said, sweetie, hey, I really need to talk to your mommy. So I ended up getting my wife at the time on the phone, and I shared with her, and she immediately thought to call our pastor. And man, he said this prayer at the beginning of the 11 a.m. service that Sunday morning that just took the roof off, man. And yeah, I was in a tent. It was like MASH. I was in a tent and trauma surgery, and yeah.
Could you hear the prayer? Did you get to hear the prayer?
I got it. I have a copy of it somewhere. I'm trying to find it. I've been looking and looking. It knocked your socks off. I was so blessed. So of course, it's a 5,000 member church, and so the word spread throughout the community pretty quick. So I got so many prayers, and I was so uplifted and such. And
how did that make you feel?
Oh man, so loved, so well. My family was taken care of. It made me feel. It allowed me to focus.
Yeah, wow, it's
I didn't have to worry.
Interesting. And then I can't help but ask. Really interesting. You called your father-in-law before your wife.
Yeah, I knew
what drove that.
Freaked the hell out. That's why. You're gonna need someone. If not, I wasn't gonna call. Yeah. I'd call afterwards.
Because
I knew I was good. Yeah. Okay. And so Kandahar Airfield gets a mortar attack from the enemy, and sirens are going off, and these mortars are laying in half a mile away, and all these nurses, and we're going to the bunkers. We're going to the bunkers. I said, why? Because we're under attack. I said, that shit was landing right next to me the last few days. I'm not worried about it. You're going into bunkers. I ripped the IV out. I said, you got any crutches? No, we ain't got any crutches. You got my uniform? They gave me this shredded uniform they cut off me. I had this gurney on. I just started walking. And back then, to communicate, you had to go to the morale and welfare tent to get on a computer. That was the only Wi-Fi, only email. I mean, I had the greatest technological device you could buy, and it had a little dial on it as an iPod. And I could listen to podcasts, my music that I stole from those websites and stuff. But hey, they never got a call from the Army. They're sitting back. Is he alive? Is there a 1-800 Find My Soldier number? Is there? So they don't know what the hell is going on. So I can't imagine that anxiety. And of course, when people heard about it, people, surrounded my family. And I was able to explain the situation. And, the colonel was like, you've already taken one for the team. You've taken a slug. You don't have to go back out there. And I said, Colonel, my men need me. I'm sorry. And what we've learned already in the last few days is gonna help save lives and put pressure on the enemy. No, I need to be out there. And I remember I said, let me show you. I climbed up on the top of my gun truck or a gun truck, and watch me. I jumped off of it. I'm fucking fine. Get me back out there. He said, Waldrop, you don't have to. I said, no, I have to. And so then I found the Black Hawk pilot's B huts, and I knocked on the door, and this pilot answers the door. I said, can you get me to Kandahar? He said, you want to go to Kandahar? I mean, they're itching for an operation. I said, yeah, will you fly me? He said, let's go. So they inserted me back out there, and I finished up my tour the next 13 months, all through southern Afghanistan.
Buddy, number one, I mean, there was so much there. Thank you so much for your service, brother.
My pleasure. Yeah,
it's
wow.
I
owe my whole life. I owe everything to it. And, 70, 80, I don't know how many gunfights later, I got a chance to come home.
Contractors don't get paid to make excuses. You get paid to solve problems. Every day you're fighting schedules, labor shortages, material delays, weather, inspections, and 100 things nobody else sees. Because when the pressure shows up, the contractor's expected to perform. That's why I built Big League Construction Supply. We understand that when material is late, the entire job suffers. When communication breaks down, the schedule slips. When urgency disappears, money burns. That's why speed matters. No corporate bureaucracy, no private equity call center, no waiting 3 days for an answer, delaying when materials really are coming. Just real people who understand the pressure you're building and are willing to run through a wall to help. Because elite contractors deserve elite partners. At Built to Win, we believe contractors build the world. At Big League Construction Supply, we're proud to help supply it. Big League Construction Supply. Speed matters.
What the guy who carried you out? What was his name?
Jeff, yeah.
Jeff. Okay, so Jeff.
What's up, Jeff?
What? Yeah. What does Jeff mean to you?
Oh man, I tell you, I when I got back home, I knew. I call it the Stand By Me moment. You remember that movie, Stand By Me?
Yeah, I
You remember those little boys, those boys that go out and they have this just memorable event happen in their lives. And at the end of the movie, you realize that the movie is a script of the book that the gentleman who was that little boy experiencing these things with these other boys, writing this book about this experience that they went through. It says, Stand By. I knew, I ain't that bright, but I was smart enough to know that I was going to have a gaping hole in my soul, because tomorrow I'm not going to have Jeff and Clay and my others. I'm not going to have my team. I'm going to be in Orlando again. I'm going to be on my own. And I intentionally went to my pastor and I was like, listen, maybe what would help me is to join a men's group, join a Bible study. And he said, well, why don't you join? He said, well, I know those guys. And in my mind, that could be predictable. I want, of any other groups, some guys I wouldn't know. Looking for another guy. So I joined his Bible study. It was a CLC Bible study. And every week someone else is leading. And, I did it for a few years with these guys, great guys. And one session where I was leading was about the inner circle. I may butcher it, the faithful perspective of an inner circle. And man, it was sad. I'm going to get back to Jeff and Clay and my other boys. But, when shit hits the fan, I'm not talking about mama. I'm not talking about your brother. Who are you going to call when you really need them? And as part of this is that intuition on character. Who's going to run the sound of gunfire for me? And I went around the room. Man, I was appalled. Man, if I can't call my brother, I don't maybe I a fraternity brother? I don't know who I call. I think I could call. No, not my brother. They got to me and said, man, I got a Rolodex, man. I'd call them right now. They would go to the gates of hell for me. And you know what I'd do for them? I'd kick those damn gates in. We have got to be intentional with an inner circle of relationships in our lives of men. That when shit hits the fan and you need it and you're in that hole, and you may have been in that hole before. You may be in that hole now. You may know what that hole feels like. You know other people that are in that hole right now. And when you're trying to climb out of that hole, man, you got to have someone you can call. And that's Jeff, and that's Clay. And perspective changes. You know, I'm in Orlando trying to climb the corporate ladder, trying to, join the local country club and get a new title and add on to my house and buy another car. And, it's bullshit. Yeah, man, I got lucky to get a new perspective on life because if we're not waking up every single day, if we're not seeking love and happiness and joy and laughter, what the fuck are we doing? Post-traumatic stress has been around since the beginning of mankind. We're just starting to understand it for the first time. Traumatic brain injury, concussions, hitting catchers at 35 miles an hour.
Nothing to what you were doing.
But that traumatic brain, we're just understanding this. We still don't understand it. But the hope and the prayer and the truth is, with the right treatment and the right therapy, it's like a physical wound. It can be healed.
Yeah, and I want to get into that. I want to go back though real quick if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go back to, when you talked about leading that Bible study.
Yeah.
Looking around at other men, good men, saying they don't have what you have. They don't have somebody.
I framed it as more of I tried to do I'm not a great teacher at all, but more of a teaching as guys, this is not your fault. This is the way Western society has developed. Western society has taken an inner circle in these relationships and they said it doesn't count. We have to be, when you come across, it may be today. And when you feel it, like you just met each other, but you feel like you've known each other 1,000 years. When you feel it, man, you have got to be intentional about building and maintaining and growing a relationship like that could be an inner circle. The hell with the acquaintances.
Yeah.
Hey, we have got to have this inner circle.
So let me ask you, because you're so spot on, right? And we miss that a lot. War has a way, whether you choose or not, it's coming.
But like that fraternity. It's like that ball club. It's like that team, man. It's like that.
But how do you do that in the real world?
In the locker room, you've had, you go through a battle with each other. It may be a proposal that you got to get out by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. And you just got closer. Well, we have to be intentional when it feels right to take that relationship and build on it.
Now, when you build on it, because this is so good. Is okay. We may argue, we may debate, we may whatever to get through a bid, right? Mm-hmm. And man, we're there till 3 a.m. on it.
Yeah,
right.
Cranking it
and
out,
so
man.
You're like, bro, what we got to do? Okay, so then you want to pull each other's hair out. What is one thing you could give the person that solidifies the relationship through the circumstance? Obviously not the same intensity as life and death, but still it's relative. Life, relative. Mm-hmm. It's relative to them. Their country club, to somebody who's lived what you lived, that's hey man, we got some.
It's hard to witness, man. Yeah. It's hard to witness.
We got our priorities real.
Yeah, you hear these, you walk in on these conversations like, what?
Yeah, we got some rich people problems, right? That's different than being in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why your story's so good, because you give relative experience to somebody who has never heard that, they're going, wow, my whole world, what am I worried about? That's what we need more of. We need more perspective, diversity of thought, diversity of experience for us to be able to go, wait a second, I'm tripping up on this one thing. How does that guy or girl who runs through the estimate, what is just one piece you could give them that they can build connection after till 2 and 3 in the morning that they were pulling each other's hair out and cussing and yelling at each other, where they can go, hey man, I can count on you.
Hey, be genuine and be sincere. And you got to say it. You got to communicate it. Don't let it just pass. Don't just move on to the next proposal. You got to celebrate your victories, man. And you got to band together on your defeats.
So okay, let's say I lose the bid. It's me and you, and we lose the bid, and we're just in each other's grill till 3 in the morning.
You got to be thankful for the ones that you lose sometimes.
What are
you
you
got to be thankful
me?
for the ones you lose sometimes. But no, you have to understand that creates an opportunity. You know, I lost that battle, man. I lost that fight. But I got up on that damn truck and I jumped off it to show the colonel and I get back into it. And we're going to use this as an opportunity. And, you know, you communicate with that to the ones that you lead. You communicate that to your leaders. Hey, boss. Hey, we just got an opportunity to go do another one.
Yeah. So I think that what I heard, which is so good, is so often I don't think the contractors really saying to their teammate afterward. It's kind of just left at the door and you move on to the next.
You got to celebrate the little victories.
So you're just telling your guys, hey man, I love the effort. I know we didn't get the bid. I love your effort. I know we were here till 3 in the morning. It feels like we didn't win and we lost, but we got closer. We worked through other problems and the next one could be the one.
And you know what? My guys and my team every single day are doing some of the most amazing things. And I tell them all the time, man, take the time to stop and celebrate the effort and the amazing accomplishment you just did before you move on to the next. Because we're so wired to just, all right, give me the next one. Give me the next one. Well, you're gonna run into that damn wall.
Yeah, at some point.
You burn yourself out if you don't stop and pause and celebrate with each other. Call me, man. I'll celebrate with you.
Yeah, I struggled with that for a lot of years.
Yeah,
that right there. Yeah. And I had somebody older.
Hey, you just hit a double.
Yeah,
you're just thinking about that next at bat, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, damn, man. Give me knuckles, man. That's a hell of a double, dude.
Yeah.
Before you start thinking about that triple, you know.
Yeah, that's right for the next one. But it is so true to your point of, you know, learning. I had an older, wiser man that said, "Hey, man, you got to learn to celebrate on some of them. It's just as good." And you know how his frame that work? He goes, "The Lord is pleased on the celebration of it too, not just let me take the next one."
Hey, man, he's dancing.
And I was like,
he's dancing too, man.
Yeah, man, I need to do.
Call me, man. I'll dance with you, dude.
Yeah. That's so good.
You strike out. You know what? Hey, man, you got one more fucking rotation on that lineup today.
Yeah. For you got your first Bronze Star. You said 20 years ago to tomorrow.
Today. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I feel honored that I'm on the anniversary with you, bro.
Usually every year I don't even think about it. But.
What does that feel like? And what was the notice of what that meant?
Man, every day's Memorial Day, man. You know, and you try to make it memorable and you try to respect. Man, I just lived out a dream of mine. I'm a dreamer, so just dream with me, man. It keeps me driven. I don't call it bucket lists; they're just dreams. And I got a lot of them, man. And one of them was to go back to Fort Benning with my son, and to have him. He wants to be an airborne ranger. He's going to be a senior at Ole Miss.
Let's go.
He's a rebel, dude. I fit in. I've been a rebel all my life. I fit in, even though I am a Clemson Tiger too. But no, I love it, and I love him, and he's so much stronger and smarter than I ever was at that age. He wants to be an airborne ranger. And I wish I had the money. When I didn't have the money, I couldn't afford it. And when I did have the money, I didn't have the time, or I didn't make the time. But I always wanted to have him go to the place where I became a young man and the home of the infantry and hear reveille in the morning and just watch the home of the infantry awaken. And a couple weeks ago, I called a buddy of mine, Airborne Ranger Colonel. He was in Afghanistan as a captain the same time I was. We didn't know each other until we met in Orlando. And obviously, like-minded and brothers. We just know, it's easier sometimes to talk to people about these things and these struggles and these memories when they know what you're talking about. And so Ty helped organize the trip, and it was me, Ty, and Ty's become Tommy's mentor. So I took Tommy, my son, up to Fort Benning. I'm still reeling over this. This is just a few weeks ago. And another dream I had was to go see the Infantry Museum, the National Infantry. And I've heard it's spectacular, but I never took the time to go see it. And I get to go see it with my son. So Ty calls the Infantry Museum and says, well, we close at noon that day. And Ty's like, well, Ty shared my story with him a little bit. He says, well, we're going to get you a VIP tour, which was so amazing. But the reason why we close at noon that day is that the annual National Infantry Ball is that evening, and we'd like for you and Mr. Waldrop and his son to be our guests. And so Ty calls me and said, Michael, get your uniform out. And I said, no, fuck that. No. He said, Michael, get your damn uniform out and tell Tommy to rent a tux. We're going to go to the Infantry Ball. I'm like, all right. And I didn't even know that dream was coming. So we're at the Infantry Museum, and I didn't know there was a wall, man. And they had the traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall there, which I had helped coordinate come to Orlando at some point in time, 10, 12 years ago for Veterans Day. And they got a wall, man, I didn't know it. And have my son there hold us up. And I got to go get sketches of all of our boys that were on that wall. What a dream. What a great memory. And then we go to this infantry ball that night, friggin' dress uniform and talking about trophies, come, whatever. It's the Purple Heart. It's an enemy marksmanship badge. But I took it back to him. I got some payback to him. But anyway, when I joined the Army after Desert Storm, if someone had a combat patch on their right shoulder of their uniform, man, it's like, dude, that's respect, man. Then you went through a decade, and everyone's got combat patches through the global war on terror. And but now it's another generation. You look around, and there's a lot of not lack of experience, but not as many, very few combat patches, and Bronze Stars and Purple Hearts and stuff. And my son got to see me kind of in a different light, and I don't like to be boastful about any of that stuff. Again, I don't wish it on anybody. I just did my job, man. Fucking machine gun bunker. I had to be taken down, man. I had to be taken down. But to watch these sergeant majors, command sergeant majors, they're in charge of thousands of Joes, man. And they're all decked out 26 years of service in. And man, they take my son, who's 21, and he wants to be an airborne ranger, and he's around these group of heroes and men, dudes, and they take the time, and they're answering his questions, they're giving him advice, and to watch this was just, man, I'm still reeling over it, man. We went up there for a day and a half, and I'm still reeling over it. At least with my son, you're still dad, you're still an idiot, when it's your son to, kind of see, hey, man, thanks, Dad. Thanks, thanks for what you did. Being who you are. I retired, though. I took him one last time a year or two ago, and I knew that, dude, I ain't going to be able to do it again for much longer. I'm going to go out as champ, so...
But what a story, and thank you for sharing it. I mean, that is obviously, it moves you, and just the depth of that is so good. And anytime you get to see it with your boy,
oh man,
and to see him growing into a young man who wants it and yearns for it.
Yours is 10, man.
Yeah,
dude, take every chance you can.
I can't thank you enough for what we do. We wouldn't even have this, and I know every one of you men and women that I say it to said the same thing.
It's our pleasure, dude.
You still had plenty of choices you could have made to in some ways dodge or not get back out there or dodge the whole thing, the deployment in the beginning.
There's a lot of them that did. Yeah.
There's a lot of temptation to do that.
Yeah.
And people think they're helping you, right? But they're being a crutch to you.
No, I don't.
Right.
Don't you ever tell my wife that I had a chance to come home. Don't,
Yeah.
Colonel. Don't you be sending any letters.
Oh, I can only imagine. And again, she's fighting for you and wanting you home, and
Yeah.
all those things make sense. Like, why? But man, I can't imagine living life like you said with a regret of that weight. But you still had a choice, and you chose, and I'm so grateful for that. As you're starting to think, I'm sure, the next chapter, you get served with some papers on a tax bill.
Yeah.
You know, what was that, and
Yeah.
how did that inspire the rest as you continued to build?
So as a young man, I gave politics a thought at one point in time in my life, I was involved. I chaired some boards and chambers in the Salvation Army board. And, I was pretty involved in the community. Again, trying to probably find purpose. And then until I went through what I went through and got that perspective and got that, I'm very fortunate again with purpose too. I'm a big believer in purpose. There's a reason why each of us are here, and that's to serve something. And my purpose has been shoved in my face, and I'm grateful for that. I've met a lot of successful men, especially when I started my business, when I was seeking advice, seeking out someone to tell me I was freaking crazy. Well, I already knew that, or freaking dumb. I already knew that too. But they were empty. You looked at them in the eyes, and they were empty. And no matter how successful, they lacked purpose. So I got involved in the community. And when you're in a combat zone as a military service member, your federal income tax is exempt. And what a great benefit. We lost Sergeant Fuga, Michael Fuga, on September 9th in an ambush. He got cut down with a machine gun ambush, and he was a Samoan, man. I got Michael Fuga, big dude, right? And I met him when we were coming in because his unit was rotating out, and he decided to stay because he wanted to buy his little girl a computer to go to college, and he's making good money. And he met my team. He's like, "Yeah, I want to stay with you guys for a year, another year, 2 years in a row." And we loved him for that, and just a great NCO. We lost him on September 9th. A big reason why Michael wanted to stay was because of the tax exempt status. I mean, you save 30% on your income. I mean, that's a big bonus, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the way to do that is to continue to stay in a combat zone. So then all of a sudden, I got a property tax bill from Orange County government or the state of Florida, and I'm like, oh, man, shit, I didn't have money at the time. I was like, oh man, okay, I'll pay that bill. And I knew a little bit about homestead exemptions and such, and I called a good friend of mine, Andy Gardner, who he was actually in the House of Representatives in the legislature in Florida at the time. He's with Orlando Health now, but I called Andy from Kandahar and said, "Hey man, what do you think of an idea of, like the federal government, the state of Florida exempts, like they do homestead exemptions, maybe 5% for service members that live in the state of Florida that own the American dream." Help them out a little bit financially while they're serving our country. He said, "Man, Michael," he said, "to hell with 5%, we're going to get 100%. I said, "Seriously?" That began a 3-year process. And, people raise millions of dollars in PACs and to pass constitutional amendments. This is around 2010 when it actually got on the ballot, because any property tax change in the state of Florida constitutionally must go on as an amendment on the ballot to change anything with property taxes, like what's going to happen in November with DeSantis's new legislation on homestead exemptions. So I didn't raise a dime. I didn't have anybody help me. I just started kicking doors in, and it was interesting. Marco Rubio was the incoming Speaker of the House in Florida, and Andy ran against him. And it may have been Dan Webster who was in the Senate. The measure passed unanimously in the Senate, but it failed in the House for political reasons. Year 1. Year 2, Andy passes it unanimously in the House. And I think Gary Siplin was the Senate Democrat chairman of his committee that never heard the issue. So it died in the Senate. Year 3, as I'm going up there, I made a couple trips to Tallahassee. I'm kicking doors in. I'm just like, you idiots, man. This is a no-brainer, dude. It passed unanimously over here. It passed unanimously. Oh, you're letting this die. And Sunrail is up for legislation. $2 billion appropriate for Sunrail that year. So the last day of the session, Andy is now in the Senate. And it was, I'll think of his name in a minute, Atwater. He was our CFO for a couple of years, state of Florida CFO. He was the Senate president. Dean Cannon was the Speaker of the House. And Andy called me the night before the last day of the session. He said, Michael, it's on its 3rd reading, and it'll get voted on if it makes it on the floor. But the problem is it's behind Sunrail. And Sunrail is going to be debated on the floor. And once we vote on Sunrail, the legislative session is going to be over. I said, Andy, this 3 years in a row, man.
Wow.
So he said, Michael, you got time to drive up to Tallahassee tomorrow? No. But I did. And the first thing I did is I walked right by the Speaker of the House, is Dean Cannon's reception. I walked straight to his office. He's got a bunch of, politicians there. And I kick his door in. I'm like, Dean, you told me this was going to happen. You haven't voted on it yet. And the Senate could hear it. What the hell? He went down in the chambers and they passed it in the House. Wow. I'm sitting up in the Senate atrium, whatever it is, where the public sits. And he's like, man, fingers crossed, Michael, fingers, we've just got to get it in before Sunrail or it'll die. And it's got to go on the floor to pass, to go on the ballot. So I remember Andy, he said, he walked up to the Senate president and said, Mr. President, Mr. Senate President, the guy behind this bill, he came down here and, let me tell you a little bit, he's whispering in his ear and he's at the podium, whatever it is. Do you mind if we bump this up on the agenda and hear this bill real quick before we get into Sunrail? I said, yeah, sure. So Andy said some really kind stuff when I was in the atrium and it went on the floor for a vote and it passed 99-0. I mean, I don't know who didn't vote. And then I remember Atwater hitting the gavel and saying, this is how democracy should work. So easy to do, but so hard to go through. So 3 years, from Kandahar Airfield, 3 years later on the ballot, it got passed. I remember I had a victory party that election night. It was me, a bottle of Jack Daniels, my wife, and maybe a friend. And that was our election party. And just to watch it get passed, it was more of a relief than anything.
That's a baller story.
Yeah.
Like just again, the resiliency, the perseverance.
I was watching this generation of veterans making so much change in our community. Careful what you ask for. And I remember going to the groundbreaking of the Lake Nona VA Medical Center, and the secretary of the VA asked these gentlemen to come up to the stage. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, this VA Medical Center would not be here today, breaking ground, if it wasn't for these veterans who voiced their concern and brought $2 billion to our community. And I thought to myself at the time, I'm still, a dumb young captain veteran. I mean, I did what my dad did and what your grandfather did and what my grandfather did before him. And I joined the VFW. I joined the American Legion. I went to one nickel beer night and, smoking cigarettes, telling war stories. It's like, what are you guys doing, dude? What are we doing? I ain't got time for this. I got a 3-year-old. I got a 5-year-old. I don't have time for nickel beer night. I came down here to see if we can make some change. And I started to learn the voice that we have as voters and as veterans especially. And I try to encourage every veteran. You got it, man. You got to band together and make change.
But it's a great story because so many people, unfortunately, buy the lie. That my voice doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That one voice can't change. Like that's what I take away from that story is I go, man, here's a dude that didn't have a PAC, didn't raise the money, didn't grow up in politics.
I was just pissed off, really.
Yeah,
I got pissed off.
Well, sometimes that's what it takes. Not every time, but sometimes, right?
And I was getting pissed off from Kandahar Airfield.
Well, what's so important is again, the mission, the calling was bigger than yourself. That is a big deal when you feel compelled for, that's what you said. Hey man, I wasn't going to really benefit from this, but I felt like, man, what can I do for the boys and the women that are out there doing it? Well, man, I think it was
a stress for me.
Yeah, it was a stress for me.
If I can
didn't
use
get
my
the benefit.
voice to prevent that stress on the next one, and
That's a mission bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I
And
guess
when you have that calling,
just common
just like you
sense.
did,
Yeah.
well, what I've learned in life, unfortunately,
Yeah.
common sense ain't very common.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so to you it is because you have certain gifts, right? And you've been around other people and mentors, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
But
Oh
like,
my God.
there's so many people. We would have spilt so much more blood, not literally. I mean that figuratively. If we, and in your case may be different, but not mine. Figuratively spilt more blood if I didn't have so many great men that stood in the gap for me and that I could look up to and bounce ideas and learn from. But you went after that and you didn't have the same thing. And 3 years later, one voice.
Kicking doors in, man.
Exactly. But other people can do that.
Yeah.
And that is what's inspiring.
Call
It's
me the governor, man.
Hey man, go do that, because most of these people aren't getting somebody with that. That's how you get in the door. Because you said there's 3 things I can't help but ask, right? That popped into my mind when you told that story. Number 1 was the guy went and had the conversation. You had tried for 2 years straight. And all he had to do
was walk up to the podium and say, hey, sir. And he was like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
It took 30 seconds.
2 years to get to that moment. And so that was an eye-opener to me. Number 2, I can't help but ask, what, just play the other advocate for me for a second in our audience.
Yep.
Because to me, it seems very common sense. Like, hey, man, these are men and women that are fighting for our freedoms, that are putting their lives on the line so that we have the freedoms. Can we not give them something?
Well, the reason
that can help?
they were against it.
What was
the
it?
reason? And I understand a portion of it now. It's just back in the fight. It just pissed me off even more because then I get the news reporters calling me. It's just a little old fucking me, and I ain't got time to talk to them anyway. But they were like, hey, we should be messing with our property tax laws, and this is going to open Pandora's box. What's next? Our firefighters, our librarians? I'm like, yeah, should be. What's next? This is just going to open the door for our, I said, well, hey, why don't you go serve the community some?
Right? I can't.
So that was their
why
reasoning.
Don't you go in the combat one time and then see what you think is like?
Go get your combat infantryman badge.
Yeah.
So I took that momentum, and I felt like there was some federal change I wanted to make too to help the veteran community. And again, I'm looking at this generation, and they're all past now. It's like, who's going to be the next man? Who's going to make sure we have the next Lake Nona VA Medical Center? Who's going to be the next Careful What You Ask For? So I tried to start putting myself in a position to be part of the next generation's leadership of the veteran community. Man, I got involved to the point where I got really burned out, where, hey, it's probably time for the next generation to step up anyway. And I'm trying to re-engage myself. So I took that momentum and I realized, man, we can do something here. So I started kicking doors in. I started with Orange County. Then I went to the city of Orlando. Then I went to the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. And then I went to the Orange County Public School District. And I understood small business contracting goals. But I knew I had to do this publicly. You go meet with them in their office. They'll tell you anything you want to hear. I say, hey, I appreciate what y'all do for small businesses. I think it's wonderful. But what are you doing for our veteran community? And I felt like this was like the next Montgomery GI Bill. In World War II, we had 3.2 million service members all of a sudden come home after V-Day. And Congress came together and said, what are we going to do with them? Let's give them an education. That was a big, monumental piece of legislation. This legislation in my mind, and this matter in my mind was, give them a chance to get off the bench and get them into the game as an entrepreneur. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to hire other veterans. They're going to be leaders in their community. They ought to have an opportunity, too, to compete. So we started a 501c6, and I wrote a letter to every veteran business owner that I could find. There was like 300 of them that I could find. I wrote them a personal letter and say, hey, if you're interested in making a little bit of change and creating an opportunity for the next generation of veterans, show up at Dub's Dread for lunch next Tuesday. I think there was like 13 dudes that showed up. I'm like, let's do this. So I started FAVOB, Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Business. I think they've got, I don't know, 500 or 600 members now, because I felt like, little old Michael Waldrop. Yeah, I mean, I try to go kick the doors down, but if there's 600 of us, they gonna listen.
Yeah,
it's nice to see them beginning to scale and grow and have an association out there that supports the next generation of veteran entrepreneurs.
That's so good. Walk us through though. You that associate. Okay, before that associate, you started your company. Okay,
yeah.
Real quick, how did you choose the construction industry?
Yeah.
As like the industry I'm going to start, and and that bill didn't exist at the time, right?
No.
So you're just starting. I'm going to start my own construction.
The federal government has a service disabled veteran-owned small business program. I did not know that. So I come home from war, a wounded veteran, disabled veteran, and I go back to the family business in construction. I mean, and it was 2007. It's still at the boom, but we all saw what was coming.
Yeah.
Man, I had people laughing at me. I started a construction business in 2009 at the height of the recession. There was no work. Some of my mentors told me that's the right time to start it. And I think they were right.
I agree.
I could hire anybody.
I agree.
And so George Bush W. in 2004 signed an executive order to create a small business program for service disabled veterans. I didn't even know about it. We didn't have any work. And there was this project at the Tampa VA, James Haley VA, and one of our estimators came to me and said, aren't you one of these guys? I looked at her. I was laser focused on my career, my family, my transition from war. 6 months later, we ain't got shit. And Joe Torito with Torito Electric, who was one of our team partners and subcontractors. And he said, Michael, I saw this opportunity. No one's got work anywhere. Are you one of these guys? And I looked at it, and man, I studied it. I'm like, man, a dumb, bald, stocky guy like me qualifies for a small business program. And for about 8 months, man, I just moonlighted this, and I studied it, and I studied it, and I studied it. And I went through a lot of failure. And I developed a dream and a passion to build and grow a small business centered around veterans. And that was my niche. That was my opportunity. And then I had mentors come along in my life that I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today if it wasn't for them.
Let's talk about them for a second.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Let's do.
I mean,
yeah. I can write a book about what they taught me.
I know. So, okay, there's people out here in the world. There's some that could care less about mentorship. There's some that are like, that are getting mentored right now, that are good, that are trying to find way. And then there's some that are like, hey man, that's cool. How do you attract somebody that, like, what was your process to find somebody? Because sometimes I feel like people have said to me, that's easy for you because of what you've done or that they would be. Like, how do you attract, in your opinion?
I tend to speak towards the protege more than the mentor.
Okay.
For many years. And now I probably speak more towards the mentor side because that's the way I desire to pay it forward.
So speak to it to the first side.
So construction, as you know, and a lot of your audience knows, you've got to have bonding. That is a barrier to entry into the marketplace. And let's just say it's a 10 times rule. If you want to build $1 million business, you better have $100,000 in working capital, cash, to be able to bond $1 million worth of work. Well, man, when I developed this dream and passion, dude, I had $68,000 in my 401k. A house, a mortgage, and 2 kids and a job. I mean, all I could do was a $680,000 job, but that's not what I thought I could build. That's not what I thought. My plan centered around building a $10 to $15 million business in and around veterans, and I knew I could. I mean, I quit my job in 2009. I quit the family business through failure, and I can talk about that a little bit. But I needed $1 million, man. Ain't no bank gonna give me $1 million in 2009? I had 68 grand and a house and a mortgage. And then Bob and Bill and Dan and David Powers too. Bob and Bill came into my life, man. I met Bob at church. Bob's no longer with us.
I'm sorry.
No, man, I wouldn't if it wasn't for Bob and Bill. And so I started the charity at the same time. And I went to the University Club to have lunch with Bob to check his involvement and get his advice and mentorship on his charity.
What attracted you to, like, what did Bob have that attracted you?
Oh man, just
Bob?
what he was a beautiful man. I mean, he let me take him to lunch. I said, Bob, I got this idea. He said, Michael, when I bought my first Wendy's franchise for $3 million, I didn't have any money either. And that's how I did it. It was a triple LLLP. And he gave me the corporate documents. And he let me read it. And he structured this deal where his investors could buy units and they owned 80% of the entity up until such time that their share was paid off, and then it flipped. And he said, "How are you gonna come up with $1 million, Michael? I mean, I don't know your situation, but I have a feeling, there's no construction work, there's no loans, there's no." I said, "Man, I don't know, Bob." He said, "Count me in." I said, "Are you serious? I was expecting you to tell me I'm stupid. Are you serious?" And he gave me $500,000. And Bill Dillard came along in my life shortly thereafter. And Bill owned MSI Mechanical. And Bill started it in his 20s, crawling into crawl spaces, doing ductwork replacements. And he built MSI to be a $50, $60 million business. He sold it to a big boy. They ran it into the ground. He bought it back, pennies on the dollar. He built it back up to 75, 100 million. He sold it again. And just a beautiful, brilliant, faithful men. And Bill's like, "Count me in." I said, "Oh, are you serious?
Wait, dude.
Are you serious?"
So
dude?
you get $500,000.
I get $1 million from these two guys.
The first guy. And how long had you known him?
My ex-wife's family knew Bob for a long time, and I just got and I think through church I knew Bob through church. I knew Bob through kind of just as I knew who he was.
Yeah,
I was a member of the University Club early on, and they'd have the Tuesday nights was a night, and he was one man that I could go to the common table and actually he talked to me, man.
Yeah, he didn't turn.
He didn't. He
Sometimes
was like, who's this fucking punk?
Yeah.
He talked to me. He spent time with me, man. And there were several of those guys that.
Now, are you inviting them in? Because I think this is important for people who don't have a mentor.
So I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I knew it. I knew at that point in time in my life that if I had ever had the experience and the resources or the wisdom, and if I could ever be Bob and Bill for somebody else, that'd be pretty cool. And I told Bob and Bill when they gave me those checks, I said, "Man, I'm going to pay this forward. One day, man, one day I'm going to pay this forward." They gave me $1 million. They subordinated. I put that cash into the business. I should have run to the islands and disappeared, but I didn't. But they told me to do that too. But they gave me $1 million. They gave me a chance to get off the bench and in the game. They liked my plan. They liked my idea. They liked me. I don't know how. And they had faith in me. I don't know how. And I paid them 10% interest. But I had to earn $2 to pay them back $1 because I had to replace that $1 million. So within 3 years, I paid them, and I gave them 30. I gave them each 15% of equity into the business.
Okay, this is so good. How do you structure this, or are they leading this in the beginning?
No, I made it up, man. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with their wisdom. I didn't know. I'd go. They'd meet. They'd take me to dinner.
Now, are these both? Are they friends too?
They became friends.
Oh, so you brought them together?
I brought them. They became dear friends.
Wow.
And everyone says that we're a relationship-oriented business. Yeah. When I started mine, it was me, Paul, and Kim, and we spent countless moonlighting hours in the middle of the night. Like, what do we want to be? What do we want? What's our purpose? What do we want to look like? How do we want to operate? And culture was one. We spend more time with each other than our own families. If we can't enjoy each other and we can't create an environment that is fulfilling, I don't want to be a part of it. We've all been in organizations or teams that you're walking around and people are stabbing you in the back to overtake you, or it's like walking around in a morgue, man. No, man, I don't want that. So culture, relationships, no, we pledged on day one, we are going to be a relationship-oriented business. What do I mean by that? These people count on me, man. They count on Michael Waldrop. If I walk on a job site, the first question I ask, and you're wrong if you can't answer this question, what is the name of the man or woman that cleans your porta potty? If you're not treating that man or woman with dignity and with respect, and I don't do it for this, but I got the cleanest porta potties on the entire campus, but I don't do it for that. But that man counts on me, man. Chris, that man puts food on his table. He counts on me to help do that. And I take that responsibility, and I count on him to clean my porta potties, man. And in the office, if you don't know the first name of the man that comes and sprays for bugs, you're wrong. Because I remember on day one, man, I needed an A-team. I needed electricians. I needed roofers. I needed carpenters. I needed framers. I needed concrete guys. And I remember praying over that phone, praying, man, God, please let it ring one day. Now I'm ringing it, shut the hell up. But if you're willing to become part of our team, man, I will treat you with respect. You call me or any member, it will be the most important call of my day. And I will treat you with dignity. And I promise you, I'll pay you quicker than anyone pays you. And let me share with you what I learned and how that affects your business. 17 years later, man, we're working with the same roofers and electricians, and we are going to be a relationship-oriented business, and it starts with our employees.
The best operators understand that people are the most important thing.
Yeah. So many people, it's mind-blowing that so many people don't.
Yeah. Well, I think...
And that they've gotten successful without knowing it, too.
I know. I think, well, success is finite, and success is dependent upon what your scoreboard is, right? And success...
through failure.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people
losing
all
in
the
ball
time,
games, yep.
I failed my way to success. You start blue cord. You've gone. You've made pledges with the select few. You have fought for some of the taxes, learned some stuff about legislation. You've learned about the small business.
Get my first contract.
Well, I want to enter the first contract in a second.
Yeah.
But there's so many veterans out there that are struggling to make the transition.
Oh yeah.
What was that transition like for you?
It was hard.
And how did you overcome that?
Putting a uniform on is not that hard, but taking it off is really hard. But there's a path, there's avenues, the benefits that we have, the support that we have. There's no reason why you can't, but you got to go. It's like an addict, man. You got to help yourself first. I can't do it until you make that decision. If you make that decision, I'm going to be there with you. But if you want me to spend some of my time supporting you, and 6 months from now, you haven't done anything about it, I'll go help the next guy. The transition is so hard, especially in communities like this, where you don't have the Fort Bragg and 82nd Airborne support groups. Man, when the division deploys, the whole community embrace. You come back home to Orlando, man, dude, you're just lost. I have so many stories. I met a guy. He was doing my deli meet at Publix. Dude, he was in the Navy on the USS Enterprise when I Winchestered a couple F-18 Super Hornets. One day I was like, man, you were on that aircraft carrier at the same time. You know what I was doing, man? I was fucking dropping bombs. And I looked in his eyes and, man, he struck us, man. I can't get nothing better than slicing deli meat, man. I said, well, man, I think you can. Call me, man. I think you can. There's entrepreneurial, there's education opportunities, obviously healthcare benefits.
Did he call you?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, no, he works with a defense company now, or did. This was years ago, and probably in a cubicle with a Lockheed Martin or something, but man, getting paid well. He's got a management position, and
that's awesome. And I think that's the story is he believed that I couldn't get any more. And that's why the story needs to be told.
How do I write my resume when kicking doors in and grabbing bad dudes by the throat was my specialty?
Yeah. Well, what did
discipline, work ethic, leadership, accountability, man, you got to think of it of more of the principle of what you were doing, not exactly what you were doing,
Well, I think that's so important. We don't I will not, at no point am I comparing our situation as athletes transitioning in, because what you're
No,
telling me
it's
is
so
totally
similar,
different.
dude.
But there is some similarities
So
of
similar.
having to go.
Look at how many
You
of 'em
think, wow, this is
fail.
all I know. Yeah, and they piss everything
All
away.
I know
and
is how to freaking grab a freaking rebound.
That's it, or whatever sport,
Well,
right?
What
And
about that discipline and that work ethic and that training and that leadership to be a starter?
Mindset.
Man,
Yeah, perseverance, like sacrifice,
Mhm.
But that's what's I think is so good what you just said, because that's what I want other veterans to hear that are listening to this is like, no, you have all these other gifts that you don't even realize that you have. And so don't let the world shut you down thinking all you know is.
And they're not all entrepreneurs, but now you have small business programs all throughout
Yeah.
all throughout the community. You got a chance, man.
Yeah.
And you got guys like us that have been through the fight that are willing to be your friend, man.
Yeah.
Just be your friend, or invest in you,
Yeah.
or mentor you, or hire you.
Yeah.
And
Let's talk about mental
yeah,
health.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I know that's deep,
it's
but
critical, man.
man, it's so critical. It is critical in what you're dealing with, and it's
Yeah.
critical in the construction industry. People don't realize. I
Oh,
think there was
man.
over 5,000 suicides last year. Don't quote me on the exact number.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that is significant with
Man,
the
you gotta take care
pressure.
of your people, dude.
Yeah.
The schedules. It's the closest thing. The construction industry, in my mind, is the closest thing to a military operation that you could find
How so?
in any industry, because you have to have the logistics, the supplies, the plan, the team, and you got to put it all together just to achieve an objective, to get that first phase done, to get that floor slab poured. I mean, and you're in the field and you're dealing with working men and women, and you've got to get them the supplies, you've got to take care of them. I mean, it's the closest thing to a military operation that you can find in any industry, and that's what I love and hate about it. It's hard. It is not for the weary. It is
That's
not
right.
for the weary. And you know what? We're back though.
Yeah.
It's hard work looking this good. But ain't no robot gonna cut my hair anytime soon. And ain't no robot. Yeah, there's robots that are replacing floor tile now, and I probably would have spent 14 replacing roof tile, but we still do things. And those tech savvy positions are incredibly valuable. They build our communities, man. They build our churches. They build our restrooms. They build our restaurants. They build our homes. Those people, the value of those people is going to be seen again. You can't replace that nurse at the bedside of that little girl replacing that bandage. You can't. A robot can, but you can replace that radiologist. It's a weird world we're living in, but we're in the greatest revolution in the beginning of mankind. And I'm not. What is revolution? American Revolution was a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah.
What's a revolution bring? It spills blood. It creates massive change. But I'm focused on the recovery, man. It's going to be the greatest entrepreneurial boon in the history of mankind that's coming within our industry. I can't wait, man. I'm ready. And you know what statistics say, and every contractor hear me out here. Statistics say, and a mentor of mine used to hope that I would live through a recession. I'm going to live through another one. Statistics say, in my career, in my season of life, we're going to have another one, and I can't wait. I'm ready. I prepared for this moment since 2009.
What are you doing to prepare for it?
You've got to, number one, you can't be over leveraged in construction. You gotta figure out your balance sheet and cash, or you're gonna be broke and you're gonna be the first to go. You've got to have the right team of people. You have to have the right niche. Nothing's recession proof, but what's gonna continue? What continued in the Great Recession? Not home building, but healthcare did. I saw guys kill. We all saw guys put guns to their head. It was so bad. They lost everything. We saw other people lose everything and build it back up. And then we saw other people create an opportunity. And I studied them. within our industry. They did government work. They did healthcare work. They did work. They did meaningful work that wasn't necessarily recession proof, but it wasn't commoditized work.
So when you started in '09, roughly, right, Blue Cord,
I focused on this.
you were very intentional about I'm going into healthcare. And today,
Yeah.
for
I know.
people-
I focused intentionally for the next downturn.
okay, and which is why you've paid off your debt. Which is
I've been for many years. I wanted to buy a boat, but boats kept going up 25%. I was like, "When's it coming? When's it going to be economical to buy a boat or buy a tractor?" But it's coming.
For the people who don't know who Blue Cord is today.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
What coach us up? Who is Blue Cord?
Yeah.
And there's a couple different entities that you guys play in, and so who are the markets that you serve, and what does your team look like?
So we predominantly do construction and real estate work for the Department of Veteran Affairs and other federal agencies. So we do a tremendous amount of work in VA medical centers. So we do anything that a hospital would need. Everything from renovating. We're just about done with phase 1 of renovating the entire emergency room department at the Lake Nona VA Medical Center. So what's a hospital need? A new roof, new windows, a new operating suite, new halls and walls, updated restrooms. So we do anything, which you see, generators, boilers, chiller plants, energy plants.
And you're the GC.
And we're the general contractor that goes in there. And
are you vertically integrated with each one of those trades, or are you subcontracting those trades?
We partner with other contractors.
Okay.
And we manage the work and we build the relationships. And I tell people all the time.
Are you self-performing any of the work?
No.
Okay, so more management.
No, the litigation, how litigious and workers' comp, and right now our focus now, the ones that do perform the trades, you make more money.
Yeah.
Everyone looks at the big dollar amount of general contractors. Well, I tell you what, you look at the margins. You better work hard to increase that margin because they're tight.
Yeah.
And you start operating on it. You take this exam I was telling you about with a balance sheet and your cash flow projected for 12 months. Most general contractors, what do you think the amount of time, the average time it takes for a general contractor in the state of Florida to get paid?
From the developer or their customer?
From the contractor. So a general contractor bills the customer. How long does it take for him?
Well, they're doing them in different phases.
Well,
they're releasing payments. And are you
do
talking
a
about
monthly
the
bill? So you submit your monthly bill. How long do they typically, you think, get paid?
40 days.
Yeah. Well, if you improve that by 5 days this year, your cash flow in 12 months would probably increase by $500,000.
Now, every job, that's what's great about state and private work, and you have bonding, right? You have NTOs, you have,
a lot of barriers, a lot of obstacles.
Yeah, there is. Like
inventory.
Yeah. Were you strategic in doing that as well for the target customer that you wanted to go after, that you were like, man, you knew on the front end, how do I get my cash faster?
I know. I gave the CEO of our construction company, we get paid in 12 days. I said, well, do you think it's an achievable goal for me to give you? And do you think that it's realistic? Can you improve that by 2 days by the end of the year? Yeah. Well, how do you do it? Number one, don't make any mistakes. Don't get the bill kicked back. You just lost 10 days.
Yeah.
Understand the process. Especially with government agencies, because, man, this bill's got to go from here to there to there to there to there to there. And this is what this person's looking for. And this is what this person, you need to understand that. And you need to get your bills in early. Why not give it to them 5 days? Give them a pencil copy 5 days ahead.
Yeah.
You go build a relationship with it and say, when I submit this week, do you think that this looks, I think I've got it all squared away. By the time she gets it, man, go on to the next step.
Yeah.
Understand it. I can't tell you how many vendors that I deal with. My boat service guy, I needed service on an engine. I was like, "What? How can I pay you?" "Oh man, don't worry about that. I'll send you something." I said, "No, you won't. I'm going to pay you right now." And you don't understand what that means to your business. You need to understand your balance sheet.
Yeah.
So many people get worried about or don't worry about, and you should never be embarrassed about asking for the money that you have earned.
That's so good for even vendors out there, because I talk about this as a business owner. It's easier, because it's our money.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
You're going to learn it real quick.
Yeah. And so we actually had a call. It's funny, on an AR that we had significant, 6-figure plus with a client on a certain deal. And it was like, hey man, how are we handling this? Have you gone and have you even had a conversation? Don't just collect, meaning we have a collection department, not just send an email. Has anyone called?
Man,
has anyone gone and seen the person?
No, bring donuts. I don't care.
Because they've gotten the
Figure it
email
out.
4 times already.
That's how I used to get my permits quick too.
You
I'd
know.
take donuts down to City Hall.
And so I'm just like, man, if we could all help each other collect better,
Yeah.
because we all had better processes.
And you should be calling me if you haven't seen payment.
Yeah.
Don't be bashful, and I'd be embarrassed.
Yeah, I get embarrassed.
Because I want to be the quickest to pay. Because you know what? I never want to be the biggest buyer of concrete in town. Let someone else claim that title. I do not want to be that guy. But when I need a yard of concrete on Sunday morning at 4 a.m., 1 yard, I'm going to get it. Because I treat them with dignity, I treat them with respect, and I pay them quicker than anyone else pays them. And when they say, oh, don't worry about it, no, I do worry about it. I worry about you because you just said don't worry about it. Because you're not going to be around next year when I need a yard.
Yeah.
You're going to be on a line of credit.
Oh,
You need to know this stuff. It's so many people. Again, they're good people and they do good work, but they're broke. It's just that part of our business. It's just like low bid contractors. Every low bid I do, man, there's 22 bidders and I'm 11th. I'm the right number, but I'm not going to go cut throats. I'm not going to cut bones. I'm not going to go cut other people either. To win a job, life's too short. And you gotta also not be afraid to fire your client. Don't be afraid of walking away. I mean, if they don't meet the purpose, if they don't have the same alignment of purpose that your company does, then dude, go find one that does.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And it's good advice, all of us, right? So you VA.
Yeah, so VA construction work. And then my focus now is to pay it forward. So I've been mentoring and investing in not just veterans, but other people, and giving them the chance that Bob and Bill gave me. We started a site construction company a couple years ago. That's an interesting industry. So many big boys out there. I mean, Junior Davis, I love that, man. I don't really know him personally, but man, I love his story. I think I watched your show with him twice.
Oh, that's cool.
In and out. I think I watched it twice. And
what'd you like about one of them? Yeah.
Dude, I just love that man, man. He's just a dude, man. Starting off with a dump truck and hauling dirt and to see him continue to be faithful and keep the same philosophies and values and take care of his people just like he did when he started, I bet.
Yeah.
He probably knows the name of that guy that cleans his porta-potty.
Yeah,
kind of guy,
good.
And to see I love success stories, man. You open a paper and it's nothing but people's failures. People want to see other people fail. I want to see them kill it.
I know, I'm with you.
And
that's an abundant mindset. That's different than the hater
Western
mindset.
Yeah. So I'm out there. I want to be Bob and Bill for others. So it's
site development company.
We have another protege business called Double Bar Construction. The site company, Pure Site Contractors. They just achieved $1 million in working capital for the first time.
Oh,
and I'm so damn proud of it. David's
who's running it? David?
David's an Air Force veteran. David Pabor's an Air Force. He was a key employee of mine, and he had a dream. I said, man, I think we can do it. Let's go do it. I want to help. And create an opportunity for him and all of the people involved to be in a position 3 to 5 years from now that's unimaginable. Because where I am right now compared to where Bob and Bill, where I started, it's unimaginable, man. And Double Bar Construction, the double bar is the captain rank.
That's cool.
He was a project executive with Skanska for 10 years. Man, he's this rock star, he's stud. Mike's great. He's going to do so well. And we have another couple companies that are going to be starting between now and the end of the year. We're focusing on disaster relief. We're focusing on some of the trades like electrical and mechanical. again, not for us to self-perform, but to give opportunities to be Bob and Bill for somebody else.
Now, geographically, where do you guys go now?
From here to Houston.
Okay, so you stay is
south.
that southeast market? Would you call that?
I'd like to say ACC football, but no, it's more SEC.
Let's go. Get it right.
Yeah,
Keep it
get it right.
Hotty toddy. Let's go.
I ain't saying nothing. We'll just let the games play.
That's
man.
right.
Let it spot the ball, man.
Oh yeah, buddy. But yeah, so it's in that region, and you run around and go do that. You have Double Bar. You have
We have Double Bar,
site development company.
Site development company. We have a property management company, a real estate company. We have a professional services company that I'm looking to scale.
What's the difference in that?
So the professional consulting business, when I created these small business programs with all these local governments and municipalities and government agencies, man, the phone just started to ring. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Well, weren't you the one that changed this program? I said, well, I don't want to build schools. That's not my niche. It's not what I've done that before. It's not that's not my vision. And what we ended up doing is we're working with the entire AEC industry on every major project in Central Florida and the FDOT and others doing cost estimating, staff augmentation. We're putting veterans in job site trailers and on job sites to be trained by the Wharton Smiths, the Wellbros, the HNTBs, every
great.
large player in the AEC industry. We've been able to put ourselves in a position to be a part of the team. They're not calling me because they like me. They need to check that box and make sure that they have a veteran member on their team. But I never wanted to be that guy. And when I first started Blue Cord, Lake Nona was coming out of the ground, $2 billion project.
Yeah, man.
And all the big boys called me. It's a small industry. They knew who I was in my previous life. They knew my veteran story, and they knew I had started. They all called me. But after sifting through the details, what they want me to do? They want me to buy $20 million worth of drywall and get paid for a fee so they could go check that box, and I had veteran participation. I said, man, I can't look. I need every penny I can get, but I can't. I don't want to build that reputation. I want to provide value.
Kudos to you again, just for identifying the gifts God's given you, using them to bring value and to serve, right? Because you said, I feel like purpose is so important, and purpose is we all have a purpose to serve someone or something, is what you said. And to go put that into action and devote yourself to it.
Then your
is
passion.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much joy that you're going to
man.
get when you're using that versus when you're not. You also started a foundation just because you love to build.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the foundation
The
was
charity.
placed-
Yeah.
tell us-
Hey, I tell everybody, I've done a lot of hard things, but that may be one of the hardest things I've
Really?
ever done. Man, if you ever want to lose all your friends, man, start a 501c3 and start asking for money. They see Waldrop walking in there like, oh, grab your purse. Let's get the hell out of here. Start asking for money. But going back to the mental health side and how important that we felt this was 17 years ago. I mean, I came home, man, and I saw some of the bravest, strongest, most courageous men I've ever witnessed in my life crumble, start to crumble. And man, you look around and we have so many benefits. We have educational benefits. We have healthcare benefits. You can go get a quilt made for you. You can go get a home given to you. You can go get a job. But man, if you can't heal this and this, you're not going to keep that job. And you probably won't keep that home, and you probably won't keep your family together either. This has got to come first. And 17 years ago, there was no agency out there that was focused on this. And the government has been throwing billions of dollars at it, and the suicide rate's not decreasing. So we felt like, give us a chance from our neighborhoods, our churches, our companies, our communities. Give us a chance to try to fix this problem. And 17 years later, man, we raise about $1 million a year. That's a whole nother scaling operation. I believe that if the board of directors and the vision is to scale the Camaraderie Foundation and what we're doing to save lives, I mean, what they have done, I mean, God just put it on our hearts to found it and to start it and put it in our eyes, man. I think that first year on our dining room table, we raised about 10 grand, and I had the means to go pay for a therapist. My buddies didn't, man. So we raised some money. And we raised more money, and I don't know, 30,000 families the blessing that it's been for the community. But man, it's hard. Nonprofit world is hard. I mean, you can go raise more money for dogs than you can for freaking human beings.
Camaraderie. I'm going to put that in the show notes, by the way, for your link for that. If anyone wants
please,
to donate, I would love.
People ask me all the time, how can we help?
Yeah.
Blue Court. Man, go help the veteran community.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Camaraderie is, the mental health component is big on my always has been, because I truly believe that's got to be the first thing that we address.
I want to talk to the next generation of builders.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Are so intentional, which is one of the biggest components to pouring into other people, right? And that's what I've heard, and I hope everyone watching this has noticed that just common thread. For you're pouring into other young entrepreneurs, right?
I love that.
And the opportunities that you get to see them potentially live up to what God has given them, right?
Yeah.
And that's beauty when you see people reach their greatness,
man. Yeah.
right? What is like when you see a high performer in the construction industry specifically, what is the difference between them and an average performer?
Well, number one, when that person walks in your door, get them. I don't care if you have a position for them or not yet. When that person walks in your door, you don't wait until you have a position to go recruit for that position. When that person walks in your door, you need to find a place for him somewhere, because he's going to create other positions. He's going to be a producer.
What does he look like? What does she look like? What do they behave like?
I'm a big believer in looking for self-starters. In the absence of leadership, in the absence of management, in the absence of instruction, I may go take the trash out. Let me help this over here. Maybe Chris needs some help with that light. I don't want people sitting around waiting for me to tell them what to do. I can't micromanage, dude. I don't want to micromanage. I want to, if I'm going to help collaboratively and mutually set course and direction, dude, I want that person that is going to, okay, now, if I have a question, I'm going to come ask. If I have a problem, I'm going to communicate. I'm not going to hide my problems. When I have a problem, my whole team knows, my client knows, my employees know. You know what? If I tell you we're not going to have a problem on a job, I either don't know what the hell I'm talking about or I'm lying to you. It's that person that is a self-starter, problem solver. Hey, man, you give me a credit card and a cell phone, I'll solve all the world's problems in 6 months. And I'm going to be responsive and I'm going to be respectful. That's in my mind what that next community leader, business leader looks like. You're going to be a self-starter in the absence of leadership and instruction and management. You're going to do something for the value of the team. You're going to figure out something to do in the meantime.
And the average ones don't take that initiative.
Oh, hell no.
Don't work through the
majority,
conflict resolution.
The majority of those.
Yeah. When it comes to advice for somebody young who's just gotten in the game, right?
Yeah.
Construction game.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like, there's a ton of knowledge, but give me one thing that you would like to coach them on.
Depends on the season that they're in. But number one, we're up against the greatest. This is not me talking. I look for common denominators from smart people. And when I see all these smart people, and he said the same thing that he said, that she said, that she said, I look for common denominators. And all these smart people, I've heard them all say, this is the greatest revolution that we're about to face in the history of mankind. Dude, you've got to be ahead on current events and on the tip of the spear with, I'm not saying technology, with what's about to happen with artificial intelligence and quantum computing. I read about it every single day. It is going to be a completely different world. Your 10-year-old will probably not need to go to a university or may not need a driver's license ever. The world of knowledge is going to be at everyone's fingertips. In 2019, I created an artificial intelligence task force within the company. And the ways in which we're utilizing AI is remarkable. We've had Procore, which is, if not the leading software for construction and construction management these days. We're one of 10 organizations in the country, contractors in the country, that were selected to be part of a beta program for them. We're also on a similar team with Oracle.
Get it. I love it. I love it. What does the construction industry mean to you?
Oh gosh, hard work. It our community and our world depends on us.
Amen.
It's an important role that has been swept under the rug for a long time. But man, we wouldn't have anything in our communities without these men and women that work so hard to build our communities. The construction industry is a land of opportunity in my mind. I mean, just a land of opportunity, but it's hard. It ain't for everybody.
Well, one of our missions, right, is it's catered essentially to the ones who build the world, which is you.
And the United States of America needs it, and it's going to need us.
What is the one thing about the construction industry you wish you could change today for the next generation?
Don't commoditize us. You can't pick us off a shelf, man. There's a level of relationship and service and knowledge and experience and approach based on wisdom and your team. It's not apples to apples. Don't commoditize us. I see it way too often. I beg my clients, not for my own good. I won't even go out to the job. Man, please don't shortcut this thing. Don't low bid this thing. Don't take that number, man. And then a floor collapses. Someone almost gets killed, man. We're not a commodity. We are a service industry.
What are you most grateful for?
Oh, man. The people in my life, man, my children, my mentors, my business partners, my employees, man, their families. Man, I'm lucky and blessed, and yeah, we ain't got problems, but we all got problems. But man, the people I've got around me, I don't know how.
Well, so
Man,
good.
they're amazing. I ain't got, because of them, my children, my where's your church community, the people I care about, man. God, I don't know how I do it without them.
Well, I'm grateful you came
Yeah,
on.
man.
I appreciate you coming
No,
on and
it's like,
sharing,
that's
and you have such a great story. Thank you again, brother, for serving our country.
I'm proud of you, man.
And thank you so much for your commitment, your intentionality to the people that you touch. God's given you a gift and you're using it. Mad respect, bro.
Man,
Mad
respect.
respect.
For you too, man. Love you, man. And
Yeah,
appreciate you.
love you too, brother. Thanks for
whatever I can
coming.
do to support.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.